Hey everybody, Chris here. Are we seeing a Sunday pump followed by a Monday dump? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. And I had a special Super Bowl halftime live stream talking about Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and the crypto market, looking at a bigger picture, which we're going to follow up on Monday afternoon, looking at 4-year cycles, which I still believe in, taking an overall look, looking at past cycles as well. So make sure you're subscribed, you've got your notifications on, so you can join in on the next live stream. Ask your questions. I cover everybody in the chat as much as I can, so please join in. But for now, yeah, Mondays, how is this happening? What's causing the pump and then the dump? Let's get into it. Let me show you the charts in the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. We start here looking at the current Dogecoin chart. We're trying to hold on to 9.3 cents. That's right, 9.3. We already fell below that 9.5 cent support. And that, of course, 9.5 cents on Binance goes all the way back to October 10th. Although we did drop down to 8 cents here with the V-shaped recovery that we did have. But that 8-cent line there, where that arrow is, that was the dip that we had last Thursday. And that is now the point we're going to be looking at as new support in a very bearish market. But shorter term, on Sunday, we did have this big move up on that wick for Doge up to 9.9. That was following Bitcoin. Bitcoin had started the day on Sunday down here at 69.1, had moved up to 71.5, and then was kind of going up and down. And then we had this big wick up, came all the way up to 72.2 right there. And what was that for? Why did that go up like that? Well, we can look at the liquidations. We can look at CoinGlass, and we can say, if we change the real-time liquidations to just show the $1 million ones, we look down here and there's $18.8 million. Yes, somebody was shorting Bitcoin with an $18.8 million trade, and then it was followed by another one at $11.6 million. Those are the targets, and when you have targets like that, there's no doubt that you get a big wick up to take out those targets on those long or long-standing shorts that had been around for quite some time, because we roll back and we see these shorts probably came in all the way back, probably around the 5th or 4th of February there. Those had been around, big time shorts. They didn't close them, and they got wrecked. So this coming back down now is taking out the longs, and we see these more recent ones here of 2 millions, 1 million, everything over 1 million. That we see these, this is on Monday morning coming back and taking out longs now. So it continues up and down with the longs. Of course, with Bitcoin, we did have its own V-shape. Dogecoin was kind of following Bitcoin. Bitcoin had dropped here down to 60K, bid about 59.9. So that's the target that we have for Bitcoin. So what's going on in the markets right now? Well, look, they're not great, right? Time to clock in for the week, because you got to have a job. You got to be working. You're not making money in crypto right now. There's a few that post online that they make money on shorting and then hitting a long, but most people are getting wrecked as we see the up and down action taking out leverage trades, both long and short. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Michael Saylor bought more Bitcoin last week. Everybody who says that, even though Michael Saylor and Strategy announce the Bitcoin sale on a Monday, they're not buying on the Monday. These guys on crypto Twitter, they get it wrong all the time. Oh, volatility, Michael Saylor's going to buy more Bitcoin. No, he's already bought. Every time he posts the stat, that means he bought last week. But he's buying below that green dotted line here. That green dotted line is the cost basis. And Bitcoin is below the cost basis. In fact, Strategy is down like $5 billion now on all of the Bitcoin that they have bought going all the way back to 2019, 2020 time frame, they should have been buying more down here, right? But they were buying a ton up here over 100K. And so that brought their average up quite a bit because they were going all in here. This is the end of 2024 when Bitcoin was skyrocketed over 100K. So now, back below. Now, that's not the first time. MicroStrategy was below their cost basis here back in 2022 bear market. Into 2023, they should have been having big dots back there, but no, they waited until 80 to 100K buying these big amounts. Now, of course, that's when Michael Saylor was doing all of his dilution of the MicroStrategy stock, making a preferred stock, doing all this other stuff, right? So that's what was going on there, and now they're under. So the MicroStrategy stock is trading with volatility as well, but is way down, particularly from the end of 2024 when MicroStrategy stock was way up. Well, now it's not looking so great. Very, very risky in terms of that. We've got Washagoria looking at fair value gaps, looking at the dip down to 60K. That is the magnet. And then he looks all the way down to 49 as this dip back here from the summer of 2024 as the next target of 49K. So after a weekly close below 74, Bitcoin could revisit 60K first with 49K as the next liquidity zone. As we look at long-standing, long leverage trades, if there are any below 49K that go back even longer and they're still open because they didn't take profits when Bitcoin was up here at 126.2, they could get wrecked. So that is a possibility as well. Crypto Elite says, look, all these similarities, and we'll look at this more in our next live stream of what happened back in 2021 into 2022 and that circle right there. And then we look at 2025 into 2026 and we have that circle there. Very similar with a pullback coming out of that circle, and this was the 2022 bear market. Interesting in looking at the RSI, there was a downward sloping support line on the RSI. We had one here as well, and it has dipped below that downward support right now. So many are saying, well, that's the bottom. Bitcoin's going to take off now. And I'm like, yeah, not so sure. Not so sure. We look at the number of days below the 100-week moving average in 2022 into 2023. Bitcoin was below that 100-week moving average for 532 days. The previous bear market, 2018, was only below 182 days, and then before that it was about 357 days right up here that the price of Bitcoin was below that 100-week moving average. Right now we're 13 days. It's only 13 days. So this could take a while. This could take a while being below that 100-week moving average. Now there are many people pointing to the 200-week moving average now and other moving averages. But again, I just use these more as a guideline, not as a specific price that a coin has to hit. And why is it down? Well, we have ETFs. Last week was big selling. Another $318 million sold out of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Everybody a couple years ago was praising these ETFs. They were going to be awesome. But we find out not only the individuals, particularly the ones who trade on BlackRock, who are buying IBIT, are now selling IBIT in fear, but institutions as well. Because now they're all caught up in this Bitcoin and looking at the price and the weakness in Bitcoin, and they're like, we should sell this. And of course, these are universities, they're healthcare corporations, they're any number of different companies who have treasury strategies thinking that they would hold Bitcoin, and now they have paper hands because we're in a bear market. And they figured it out. They bought too high, and now they're selling low. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. It's not the way you're supposed to do it. So what does it mean for Dogecoin? Well, first we have a large Doge transfer to Robinhood. That's usually not good. If people are transferring onto Robinhood, that means they're looking to sell. And that's not good. Because that's why I say, right, if you're going to hold long term, put it in a hardware storage, cold storage, like my ledger here. This is what I use. I use a ledger. I've got a link in the description below. If you want to get yourself a hardware wallet, highly recommend the ledger. That's what I use. I use the Nano S Plus. It's the least expensive one. That's all you need. That's all you need. If you're going to hold long term, get it off the exchange. Hold it in your ledger. Then it's your crypto, your keys. But for Robinhood, that's not good. $20 million of Doge transferred to Robinhood. Usually, you can transfer onto Robinhood. That means someone's probably selling. Dogecoin hype reset trap or long-term opportunity. Is this a trap? Right now, we're near the 10-cent margin. Investors expect growth through investment products. But is that really what Doge is? Is it an investment product? Many of us just want to use Doge as a currency. We like Dogecoin for that, but then there's the same thing about buying low, selling high, taking some profits, but also keeping Doge long-term for use. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So Dogecoin trading 9 to 10 cents after a 20% weekly drop. Daily volume above 1 billion shows strong market activity, but is it really? Because we go back and we look at the hourly chart here, and we're like, no, Dogecoin's, it had all this big volume here last week, and then look what happened over the weekend. It all tailed off, and there's no volume. There's just no volume. Now we'll probably see this tick up on Wednesday or this week, Monday through Friday. We'll see some ups and downs here of volume. Bitcoin as well, pretty low, except for that one big wick of volume that happened, and that was, of course, the market makers bringing the price up so they could take out those leveraged shorts, and the price comes back down. Dogecoin, once in a decade opportunity or crowd-fueled wrecked trap for late degens. This is the thing about Doge. Now, if you're careful, we have many supporters here of the Chris Pax channel do a DCA dollar cost average, just buying little bits either every day or every week, and just consistently buy, because in the long term, it is shown to be very successful. So I don't know what's going to happen at 9 cents. 9 cent Doge is pretty good, though, compared to where Doge was last year. So we think through the summer, probably going to stay low, maybe even lower. Accumulation time, and then in the fall, we may see some recovery going into 2027. That's how bear markets usually work. Again, we're going to look at that overall picture in the next live stream. And then, of course, you have the Motley Fool, right? Here's why I wouldn't touch Dogecoin with a 10-foot pole. And I'm like, okay, you can stand 11 feet away, and you can just stay out of Dogecoin instead of just dumping all this FUD again and again and again. Unlimited token supply, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, we know how Dogecoin works. We've been tracking it year after year after year. We know how Dogecoin works. Dogecoin hits key entry zone. Could Doge target 60 cents in the next cycle? No, so we got some of these already thinking of next cycle and how high Doge can go. And I'm like, it's a little too early for that. I mean, we'll start to look during the summer when we do see if whether this 8 cent is the bottom or there's a lower bottom over the summer. And then we're going to start tracking the next bull cycle. But I think it's too soon for that. I think we're still in early bear and we still have a ways to go. So I'm going to be looking at that, concentrating on that. But for now, we're going to see what happens on this Monday as we see overnight a big fallback, again, taking out leverage longs and a bit of buying on the dip here, a bit of recovery happening. We'll see how Monday goes. Check out the next live stream, of course. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about a typical kind of like the Sunday manipulated pump followed by dump? That's the classic move that we've seen many, many times in crypto. Give the video a like if you haven't already. Please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.